Welcome back to Straight Facts on Friday. I'm joined by Staffy and Don. Lawless should be joining us later, but we don't know where he is. We hope he's okay and hope he's well. Get like button smashed. Make sure you are subscribing. Loads of transfer talk today to get through. A big update regarding Ollie Watkins and Arsenal. There are reports of a second bid, but Unai Emery has come out and said the player wants to stay. We're discussing that in more detail. Garnacho to Chelsea. It is believed a bid will be imminent between now and deadline day, and Chelsea linked for a shock move potentially for Brighton's Ferguson as a striker option. Updates on Tell. Tottenham have flown out to Bayern Munich to force the deal, but Tell is essentially saying, I'm going to bide my time. Plus an update on another youngster potentially on his way to Manchester United from Sporting Lisbon. Before all of that, though, gentlemen, how are you both?
Good.
I'm all right, man. In life, I'm good. But when it comes to Chelsea right now, honestly, I'm happy we're playing on Monday again. These men have just been pissing me off, bro. I like these little breaks I'm getting from this team right now. I can't lie. But yeah, let's see what we do, man. Let's see what we do.
Yeah, I hear that. It feels the other way for Man United at the minute. I know not all United fans are happy, but, you know, we're only one defeat in our last 7, 3 wins on the bounce, qualified in the top 3 in the Europa League, considering we were 21st when Ruben Amorim took over in that league. We were near elimination. So, yeah, look, feet are very firmly on planet Earth. But, yeah, it's nice. And we actually played really well last night, controlled the game. We made some changes.
3-point-something XG. When's the last time we seen that?
Second half after the subs. You turned it up.
I like the first half. I actually like the first half. We just didn't have any pace up front. As soon as we brought pace into the team, it changed. So what I mean by the first half, I like the control. We were in so much control. We were happy to have Bruno and Eriksen as the central midfielders, and we were fine. And it's been a while since we've played that well. So look, not going to get carried away. It's Style Bucharest, but we were getting.
You got to remember that they changed to a back 3 for this game specifically, and they were struggling to, you could tell it was alien to them because they're used to playing a back 4.
A little bit.
I'm not trying to put you man down. I'm just saying that's the reality of what happened. Second half was very impressive. The way you guys were moving the ball about quickly. I thought Garnacho was good again. You know what I mean? He came off the bench. He definitely changed the game, winning a lot of fouls. Even before he got the assist, he put in 2 dangerous crosses. You know what I'm saying? So he was trying to get active on that side. Rasmus, I don't know your take on this guy, Terry, right now, but bro,
you see where he was when we scored the goal?
Fucking hell, bro.
He was on the floor.
On the floor. I saw him dropping on the floor again against some Romanian team.
I'm not gonna give the young man any more stick than I was giving Joshua Zirkzee a few weeks ago. My energy is the same. He looks broken. He's nowhere near good enough to be started. I got why he started last night. We are rotating, playing 2 games a week. Zirkzee's starting. A lot of people moan that Zirkzee wasn't starting, and it was obvious why he wasn't, because Zirkzee's going to start the harder game at the weekend against Crystal Palace. But he looks lost at the minute. It's why I'm hopeful we can do something with young Tell coming into the game, because from my point of view, I sort of feel a little bit like we need something different up there. But yeah, I'm not gonna do what Staffy's doing and mock one of my own players.
I'm just showing that I'm not doing nothing. I'm just
he's part of our group, and he got very angry when Man United fans gave Zirkzee stick, but he likes to mock his own players.
No stick. I'm just showing, man.
He's showing what happened, bro.
Yeah, of course, he's showing it. It's your own player. Protect him. He's your own player. Remember that. Your player.
I don't have to protect or do anything. I'm just showing him where he was at the goal.
Stop working for rivals, Staffy. He's your player.
It's not me twerking. I'm just showing him what happened.
No, I know. But yeah, look, and that's what I'm saying. Nothing's perfect. There's loads of improvement that needs to come. It's why Man United fans have got to keep their feet, as I say, firmly on planet Earth. But I was happy with the overall performance last night. What I do find very interesting, I don't know if you've picked up on this already, Staffy, for the first time ever, Don's suddenly kind of complimentary about Garnacho, which is interesting.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
He's getting himself.
Don't do that. Listen, I just keep it real. I just keep it real, bro.
I keep it real. I've done my research. I think it's actually a good buy for Chelsea now. That's what's going to come out.
No, bro. Listen, what did I tell you
backstage? I was on White Scout.
What did I tell you backstage? I said
I was on White Scout, and now I like Garnacho.
The biggest thing right now, the reason why I don't want Garnacho, the main reason why I don't want Garnacho right now is I don't want to pay no 60 million, right? That's number one, because that's going to be straight profit for you lot. United right now, financially, they're in an absolute mess. I don't want to help them out because I've got Sancho for 25 million and I fleeced them with Mason Mount, right? I don't want him to be fleecing us, and then we help them at the same time, right? And like I said, Garnacho for me is a good squad player, but he's not the guy to be playing week in, week out in every single game, especially in the Prem, because he's not that good. But to bring him off the bench and that, like you saw yesterday, he can do a look of something, bro. FA Cup, Carabao Cup, he can do a look of something. You know what I mean? But of course, I would rather Tell. because I think Tell is the better profile for us.
Yeah,
I think Tell's got a higher ceiling as well, right? But again, I don't want to be helping you lot. That's the biggest problem.
I understand that. We're going to come on to Chelsea a bit later. I wanted to speak about the Tell situation, the Tell transfer to begin with, really, because Spurs have got a deal agreed. Daniel Levy is now flying out there to try and expedite this. Manchester United today, according to Plattenberg, I'm going to put this up on the screen. According to Plattenberg, he has said that he understands Man United have made contact with Bayern Munich. United are interested in a loan deal and hope they can buy some time regarding Tell since the departure is needed. He is stating that the departure is needed there. The player seems to also be waiting for that. It does feel like Man United and Spurs are the two most likely at this particular moment. Is that someone you would want at United right now, Staffy? Young Tell?
I like him. It's not ideally what we should go for. It's a market opportunity, as I'd like to say. It's a player who is decent, has a good ceiling, just can't get game time in the club that he's at. So ideally, if we're in a better situation, I would say, yeah, 100% go get him right now, but we're not in an ideal situation. And to be honest, I understand where he would play. He'd probably be in one of our 10s, or he could play in the 9. And I think that's where he wants to be. But I look at it, I'm like, but what profiles are we going for in the 9? Are we going for more goal-scoring minded players, or do we need someone with a little bit of a creative back? There's just so many ways to look at it. So I'm not really sure. But as I said, it's an opportunistic signing. They sent him for only 20 million euros a couple years ago. So it'd be interesting to see how much he goes for. But it's also going to be one of those that we won't get him unless we move on Rashford anyways. Not necessarily Garnacho, but more Rashford, because at least we can go in and get him for a loan with an option to buy if we loan out Rashford. So if that doesn't happen, I don't think we'll get him anyways. But I would rather have him. KJ was saying this before the show started. He said, I'd rather have him than Rashford because Rashford doesn't play at all. So you're basically telling me, would you rather have Tell or have nothing, air, zero, nada? I'd rather have Tell, of course, because he'll give us a lot. I mean, we do need attackers in this team no matter what. So he is young. It wouldn't be an ideal situation to bring him in this young when we're already struggling with young strikers. But he's a good player. And I know Dunn wants him.
Striker though, man. That's the thing. He's not a striker like that, Staffy, man. For me, when I'm watching him up top, he reminds me of when I'm watching Nkunku, bro. He's not great with his back to goal. It's very similar to what you have with Rashford when he's playing as a 9.
I said he's a baby Rashford, yeah.
Yeah, he's not that guy in sort of like tight spaces in the 10. You don't really want him with his back to goal because usually he likes to take his touches away from the goal. Like he'll go backwards instead of sort of turning and driving at a man. You know what I mean? Like when you see Jackson can play with his back to goal because he can just turn a man and run with the ball. Tell doesn't really play like that. He's more of a winger. He doesn't
have hold up. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, he hasn't really got that hold up play. So yes, he might be good in front of goal in terms of his finishing, but bro, it's the same thing as Nkunku. People will say to me, "Oh, Nkunku should play up top. He's a good finisher." And I'm like, you need a lot more than that to play up top. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to bring him in and you're selling him the project as, oh, you're going to play up top. If I'm him, I would go to a club that's going to play mainly on the wing, bro. Right? Because even with us, obviously, we're intertwining a few of these things right now because we're all linked right now. With us, I keep telling you lot in the group chat, we only have Sancho on the left. Neto is not a left winger. So please stop mentioning him there. Mudryk is gone. And Tyreek George ain't going to be trusted. So on that side, he can definitely get minutes, bro, for us. Because we don't need Sancho in every single game, right? Imagine the other day if we had Tell Staffy when we played Man City. He would have started that game and absolutely cooked Nunes. You know what I'm saying? Look what Bacola did to Nunes the other day, bro, right? Sancho is not that type of player that's just going to keep running at him. You needed someone that was going to make him have a hard game because he's not a fullback. You know what I mean? So how I kind of look at it if I'm Tell, I would rather go to a team like a Chelsea, even if Arsenal right now, actually, to be fair, Arsenal, they've got Martinelli and Trossard that are on that side. So they're a little bit congested. But I would go to a team that would rather play him on the left instead of up top because he's not a striker. For me personally, he's not a striker.
I think what's interesting is a comment here about United that says Garnacho 8 goals, 5 assists this season. Tell no goals and 1 assist, but Tell is great. Garnacho is a bum. First, I want to say this. First of all, it's very confusing having a player called Tell, because whenever I read it, I think people are talking about me, right? It's frustrating. I'm not going to lie. But this is what I think football fans are missing with potentially Garnacho leaving, is you look at the profile of player of individuals that are almost signed or that we're going to get. You look at Patrick Dorgu. You look at Tell. There's the young 17-year-old sporting player. I'm not too sure how I've heard his surname pronounced 4 different ways now by 4 different people, but Giovanni, I thought it was pronounced Quenda. You look at them as individuals, they're quite different from Garnacho. And this is always something that may have happened at Man United when we decided to change style of football, bring someone in with a regimented style, and then as a club look to develop a squad and an academy that has that type of profile in an abundance. And there are just sometimes casualties within that process. Now, I actually agree that Garnacho can still be helpful for Man United for a period of time. He came on last night and he looked good. But this is where I allow my subjectivity to take second place when it comes to assessment, and I become more objective. We've been asking for a set style of play that needs a certain type of profile. We've been begging to have key football decision makers come in and make decisions. Doesn't mean they're not going to make that they're going to be perfect and they're going to do everything without making a mistake. But I just feel like we've got to give some of these decisions time without making outright judgments at every single step. I get it in the group chat all the time from Cheds. Every time something happens at United, what's your thoughts? You don't really want my thoughts on that. You want me to see if I'm changing my overall view on this rebuild. I'm going to assess it properly in big chunks. I'll look at it again in 6 months. I'll review it after the summer. I'll go halfway through next season. We can take it in milestones. We've just got to slow down as Man United fans, panicking every time we don't get something quite like we wanted, because you're never going to get exactly what you want every step of the way. I almost feel like we've got to learn to not be so almost self-righteous as fans. I like Garnacho. I'm a little bit upset he might be leaving, but that doesn't mean because I'm not getting what I want, whole rebuild's a sham, it's all going to fall apart, it's not going to work. Because actually, we all do this regularly. How many times have we signed a player and we've gone, love this signing, I think he could be brilliant, and they've flopped? We've also done it the other way where we've gone, oh, I'm not keen on this. Wow, look how good this player is. I just think we've got to learn as United fans. We've never been, most young United fans at my age and younger have never gone through anything like what we're doing right now. And the last 11 years, we didn't do it properly. This is what it looks like. There will be casualties. I think we need to slow down personally and take stock and wait to see the fruits of this labor. You're already starting to see improvements in this team, and no one can deny that. The last 7 games have been largely better than the previous 7 matches, not just in terms of results, but some big performances away at Liverpool's and Arsenal's, as an example. Good comeback wins, good dominant performances in Europa League games, a couple of clean sheets. Now, a lot of people say your standards are too low, Terry. No, again, we've debunked that argument. Stop saying it. It's not about standards being low. It's about understanding the reality of this situation and how long it takes to actually fix. So I get people are panicking and going overboard with some of this, but I do think you've got to give it a little bit of time personally. That's my view.
Then, of course, we're just giving, listen, at the end of the day, we're just giving opinions on the profiles we're going for, because I think it's interesting that we're learning what kind of players Emery is going for anyways, as he's building the system. Because we all agreed on one thing when he came in, that most of these players don't suit his system. Now, every time we get linked with a player, we need to talk about the similarities and the differences. So it's like, as when you stepped away for a minute, I don't know if you heard me and don't say that, but like he plays like a young Rashford. So it's like this type of player that kind of has like quick feet, good ball striking, a little bit of pace, not necessarily good with back to goal. So you can describe him the way we were describing Rashford years ago. I look at that, I'm like, where does he fit in the system? Not that I'm going to sit here and panic if we buy him or not. I'm just interested to see what happens. But when we look at some of the profiles that we were going for, ideally, like I was saying, I want Cunha in the 10. But then we're going for him. I see very minimal similarities between the two of them. So I'm like, okay, interesting. Like, what makes you think this is a good signing for the system? So it's not one of those. I get what you're saying. Everyone, like, we can't panic on every signing. I promise you this. If he goes to Spurs, people now are going to scream. And you're going to have Spurs fans saying, oh, we got one on United, da-da-da-da-da. We don't need to worry if he goes to Spurs. It's just like I'm saying, it's interesting to learn what kind of profiles we're going for. Because if they want to tell and they don't get them, they might get a similar profile to tell eventually. Or maybe they just don't. So I don't know.
So I'm not adverse to anybody saying I don't think Tell's very good. that's good. That's an opinion. I'm talking more about we haven't got to keep making overarching premature conclusions about the end result of this rebuild at every game. And that's what we do as Man United fans. After every game, you know, like last week, all the newspapers are, you know, Man United have, you know, cut a bit of money here or increased the ticket price. Oh my God, worst owners ever. All those same people have been silent this whole week now that this 100,000 seater stadium situation is moving forward, because it doesn't fit the narrative.
I'm getting this right now as well with obviously we haven't made any signings yet. We've got outgoings and that, and obviously Fabrizio said it'll be a busy week, you know. And I'm like, for me, when people are like overreacting, oh, we haven't done nothing, I'm like, bro, window's still open till next week. Let me see what happens till next week Monday before I start reacting to things, because in the summer, it's only in the summer where we fucking had no idea about Neto. All of a sudden, we get a here we go for Neto, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
that was random. I remember that.
So random, bro. There wasn't a single link about Neto, and then all of a sudden, bam. You know what I mean? So we don't know what these people are doing behind closed doors and whatnot. You know what I mean? So I'm just not reactionary with these sort of things. I'll just wait. I'll wait till Monday. Then I'll react if we don't sign anyone.
Yeah, obviously, breaking news just from Fabrizio Romano that Torino have reached a verbal agreement in principle with Chelsea Saturday for 13 million euros plus a 20% add-on clause. So that's a player out of the window. When did he come in? Is he from your academy or did you buy him?
No, we bought him from Inter Milan. That was when Bowley first came. So
I've got a question on that for you as a Chelsea fan. Are you a bit concerned that you bought him for 14 million and I know you've got a sell-on clause, you might make money in the future, but are you a little bit concerned that a few of the players that have come in a year, 2 years ago that you're now selling are not selling for the profits that Clear Lake were expecting to get? Because that was the spiel that we were all told. And, you know, I always take things on face value until they don't happen. But I think it's 3 players now have left for slightly less than you paid for them.
Players are those?
Sorry?
What players are those?
So you got the Castellet one. I'll get the other ones up, but I just on him.
Yeah,
I'll find the other players.
The ones that we brought in, we have actually brought in profit on them. So Angelo Gabriel, we brought in profit on him. You've got Morero, we got profit on him.
Okay. When did you sign Gabriel? When was he signed?
And that I think that was the same summer we signed Cassidy. It might have been, yeah. So Angelo Gabriel, we definitely made profit on him from Saudi. Same thing as Morero.
Okay.
So I think Cassidy is the only one really that we've lost money on.
Okay. I'm just looking. I can't even find him, to be honest with you. Angelo Gabriel. Okay.
Angelo Gabriel, we definitely made profit on it.
Okay. No, they've got him listed as Angelo. I was looking for the word Gabriel Angelo. Yeah, so you have made profit on him, which is great, actually. You bought him for 15 million euros and you've sold him for 23 million euros, which is obviously...
Have a look at Morera as well.
What's his name? Morera.
Profit FC.
So we made profit on him as well.
Diego Morera, you sold him for 2 million euros. When did you bring him into the club?
I think it was the same season when we brought Cassidy. He came that year from Benfica.
Oh yeah, you got him as a free transfer. Yeah, you got him as a free transfer. Okay. So yeah,
I think Cassidy is the only one that we've lost money on. Bro.
Okay, he's the only one losing money on, which is fair. Again, I'm reacting to a lot of the things I've seen Chelsea fans tweeting, because I saw this tweet as well, which I thought was interesting from one of the sort of your leading Chelsea fans regarding John Duran, because Chelsea are now saying that they pulled away from John Duran because his character and his temperament was bad, and people like Alex Goldberg were basically saying this is lies and he'd been rejected by Duran and now it's about bad mouthing him. And there seems to be a lot of Chelsea fans online, Don, that are not happy with what Clear Lake are doing in terms of the selling of players isn't generating the profits they expected. They've not gone after the right kind of profiles this January, as in top strikers, better goalkeepers. And even another decision that we saw today, which has upset Chelsea fans, which is the directors at your club are blocking Dazarsi's exit, which most can't make sense of.
Just to start off with that Alex Goldberg tweet, again, this is why I don't lose my head, bro. This is common knowledge from before Terry. I told you about this Duran guy. I said, apparently we pulled out of the move because of his temperament, his attitude or whatever. If you go back to the summer, he gave us the green light to come to Chelsea. I remember there was a massive hold up on it. We didn't end up going for him. I think the West Ham came in for him after that. So it's been old news. It's not new news that Chelsea didn't really like his attitude and that. It just came back up to today or whatever, because obviously he's gone to Saudi. You know what I mean? So these people really need to actually see what's going on, because like I said, it's not new news. And then with everything that's going on with Clear Lake right now, like I said, bro, listen, we've known from last season that we need a new striker. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't happy with paying over 300k a week for Osimhen because I don't think he's worth that. You know, he's a striker that will get you goals, but at the same time, he's similar to Watkins, bro. He's not clinical, right? So if you're going to bring me a striker that's on 300k plus, you better bring me fucking Isak, bro. You better bring me Gokeres and these guys that can finish their chances more consistently. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, just right now, bro, like I said, it's a bit of a shit show, man. You're bringing in Felix, who at the time I was a bit skeptical about that move as well because of so many attacking midfielders that we've got. You know, now bringing in Felix meant that Nkuku's having to play up top. You know what I'm saying? Already he's not happy because he's not getting any minutes. So now you're moving him to Villa. You've got Desarcy. I don't know what's going on with that move as well. It seems to be on hold at the minute. The squad building is the biggest problem, Terry, because we're signing some good players right now, but they're just not working out what we need at the right time, if that makes sense. Because we know we need a striker. You know, and for me, it's not fair that you've put Jackson in this position where he's drowning. We're basically trying to play him through bad form. It's nearly 10 games now where he hasn't scored, right? And you're looking at the bench. You've got Maresca doesn't want to trust Mark Gill, who for me, if he's there, just use him. You know what I mean? So there's no way we can leave Monday without bringing in a striker because I don't want to be, you know, talking to you lot in the summer saying, yo, Jackson's missed all these chances and Gill's not getting the minutes. That's just going to piss me off. You know what I'm saying? So we need to bring in even Ferguson, bro. If you're going to bring in Ferguson, bring him in on a quick loan. The biggest concern I've got with Ferguson is his fitness. Because finishing-wise, he's clean finisher, right? It's just the fitness that I'm worried about. You know what I'm saying?
This is my concern with Ferguson because obviously we're apparently close to getting him. But I want a loan with an option because he's had an ACL, he's had 2 ankle injuries. According to Brighton family home, shout out Maz, he's overcoming meningitis, which is still seem to be affecting him to this day. And £40 million, which apparently they're asking for, that's a big gamble for £40 million for an Evan Ferguson who's 20 years old, got all the potential, all the talent. But for one of our clubs to lay that down and then his injuries persist and he's still looking lethargic because of the meningitis, that's concerning, man. That's a big risk. And especially Chelsea need to just get to this point as well now where they stop trying to sign these players to make marginal profits and squad build. Get players in that can guarantee make an impact. And Ferguson for Chelsea, we're at that point right now with us where we just need bodies in. I think Chelsea, I don't know, man. I think you need to look at some serious quality and try and get rid of all of these squad builders, small profit bargain hunters you were trying to get. It's just clear out.
But don't forget the biggest indication at the time, right? The biggest indication at the time was obviously going in for Omarodian. And I told you, I don't want Omarodian because, yes, he's good in the box, but overall game, I'm not convinced. He's got a touch of a trampoline, right? We moved away from him, who is a striker, and then we went and got Felix, right? And obviously that was to smoothen things out with Gallagher and whatnot. But when I sat there, because I was live on my channel, bro, I sat there live, it's gone past midnight, and I'm like, what the fuck? We didn't bring in a striker. So we brought in Felix. We've brought in basically Mark Gill, who I was concerned about minutes as well, because he's only 18. And then we've got Jackson. So I was concerned about that area of the pitch up top. I was hoping Maresca would play Gill more. He's come out today saying he's going to trust him more. He's improving week by week and that. But I don't believe that shit, bro. Because when it comes to the games, he's not getting no minutes. He brought in Nkuku the other day for about half an hour, bruv.
Yeah.
No,
I get why you're not trying to get the Desarcy thing. I understand from a Chelsea thing because if you're just loaning Desarcy and they didn't end up selling you Duran, then you're only benefiting Villa. Same with João Felix. I know they want João Felix. You end up loaning João Felix. Well, that weakens Chelsea and only benefits Aston Villa. So unless Aston Villa are going to throw some...
I don't know if it weakens Chelsea, though, because I'll be honest with you with João Felix. I know there's still a lot of people that put stock in him when he was 18 years old. He's just not a very good footballer. Technically brilliant, amazing on the eye, but he doesn't do anything. He doesn't impact enough games. This man has been to Ati for big money. He doesn't. This is where objectively, well, the end product for me as an attacker, the end product's poor. That means you're not a very good player. This isn't a kickabout in the park where you look amazing. It's professional football. It's like being a boxer that can bob and weave, looks brilliant shadow boxing, but can't outbox anyone and gets knocked out too easily and has no power in their punch. It might look like you're a good boxer, but are you a real good boxer in a fight? João Felix has been to Ati. They were happy to let him go. He's been to Chelsea twice. And both times it looks like you're happy to let him go. He went to Barca. And as much as people, he was so good there, they didn't want him. I think sometimes you've got to look at the objective truth of a situation. Very good technical football player, but I just think he underwhelms me because of the level of hype and expectation around him. I think he has massively fallen short of what his young potential suggested he would be. It's a
he's overrated. Yeah. For me, listen, I'm black and white with him, innit? Like, he's a good player, talented player, good on the eye and whatnot. Can be effective when he comes on off the bench, and he's winning fouls for us. Because even when we played Bournemouth, Terry, that free kick we got, it was him that won the foul. You know what I'm saying? Progressing the ball forward, right? But I've always said, me and Jem have always said, because Jem don't like Felix at all. Yeah. And we've both always said Jen knows ball. His end product ain't great. That's the thing about Felix. His end product ain't great. And for me, I've seen enough from him for me to know that he will just never be a bagsman like that. I'll be honest with you. He will never be clean in front of goal. He always
would you loan him to Villa then? Because there's two ideas.
I'm not loaning him. Sell him. If you're gonna get rid of him, sell him, bro. Sell him.
And that's it. People would say, okay, if you loan him to Villa now, there's a chance him getting minutes increase. Obviously, he's going to be a backup, but he'll get more time at Villa, and that will increase his value, and maybe they'll buy him. But the other hand is maybe he's exposed more, and in Villa at the end of it go, actually take him back now. It's the summer. We're going to spend this Duran money on someone else. So it's a risk.
The thing is with Felix, like, it's not even a situation where he's been bad for us. He just hasn't really had it looking like that, man. There's been so many games, Terry, I've come on and I've told you the in-game management could have been better. Look at the bench. You bring on Felix for something different. He wants to keep Palmer on the whole game. So at the same time, I've got to look at Maresca like, cool, Maresca didn't want Felix. That came from above him. But whilst the players are there, make use of them, bro. Like I said, when you're playing these guys and you're playing your first 11, you might prefer their quality. But when these players start to get tired, they're not as effective on the pitch. That's the problem.
Yeah, I hear that. And look, maybe Felix will do better at a club like we saw when Lingard went to West Ham. And I mean, with respect to West Ham, very few teams in the Premier League play a low block against you or a very deep low block. There's more room to run into and play. So maybe with an extra split second or two of time around him, maybe you will see a better football player. So there is some mileage in him going to a team lower down. I mean, Villa, they're a good team, but going lower down the pyramid in the Premier League, getting more space to run into, more time on the ball, and there's a better outcome. And you have to look at that as a player sometimes. It works the opposite way with defenders. When you play for the bigger teams, you're invariably isolated with high lines doing a lot of one-on-one defending. That same defender might be used to playing at Leicester, where he's sitting in a back three, very deep most games, very heavily protected, like Maguire. Comes to Man United, I'm all by myself on the halfway line. It's a different type of defending. I think the same works for attackers in reverse. But I think the Ferguson move is again, if Chelsea go and get Ferguson, my gut feeling I've been very complimentary of Clear Lake at times. I've criticized their mistakes, but I've always said I can see what their vision is. Let's build a really good young core that can develop into a brilliant team. You've got some very good young players like Caicedo as an example, Cole Palmer as an example. I even understand the model of selling for profit. It's got to be more profit than you're selling the players for, because once you factor in wages, agent fees, signing on fees, you're only making 2 million profit we bought him for 10 million euros, sold him for 12 million. When you factor in all the money it costs to actually get a player in, you're not really in reality making much profit. But I understood the model of buy young and we'll sell loads of players and make more money and reinvest it. Where I would be disappointed as a Chelsea fan this January is you were on the edge of a title race, and what you've needed, and you've every week over the course of this month, you've slipped further and further away from top spot. If you had Osimhen up front, if you had a very good guy, let's just take some if you had Dean Henderson in goal, there's no way you'd have fallen this far away from the title race. If you had Osimhen up front, I still think you'd only be 5-6 points off top. I really, really do. So I can understand why a lot of our Chelsea fans, are online fuming, because the team kind of surpassed expectations and was in a title race. And then the owners, instead of going, let's go and get the players that we now need, those players that are older, more experienced, try and get us over the line. They've gone, let's stick with Sanchez. Let's try and sign Garnacho. Oh, actually, let's take an injury-prone Ferguson who can't play for Brighton as our new striker. For me, that's the wrong move. At 2.5 years into your rebuild, that's the wrong move. It really is, in my opinion. I think it's wrong from your owners. They should be looking for experienced players from now that take you to another level, not just more kids, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. I mean, for January, listen, I was happy to take Duran in it because I told you a lot before. Like, we should have signed this guy. People calling me delusional and whatnot. We should have signed him, right? Ferguson, like Lawless said, fitness concerns. But in this January, I'm trying to think of who else we can realistically bring in because Sesko's not going to leave this January. You've got Gokeres, unless you trigger his release clause, and even then, he's in the middle of like a sort of title race, whatever they've got going on over there. I don't know if he'll want to leave right now. You know, so looking at the options. There's not really many about, Terry. It might just be a short-term fix till the summer, and then we go in for our real target up top. I think that's what they're thinking is. But for me, we just can't leave this month without.
Are you happy with that? Are you happy with that approach? Because a lot of Chelsea fans give Arsenal stick for being next summer FC. Are you happy? Because when you say you couldn't get those players,
I'm triggering that release clause, bro.
But you're Chelsea Football Club. You've got Paul. You can turn heads. I think, you look at the Ollie Watkins deal. We're going to get onto that in a moment. I think if that £60 million bid goes in on the 1st of January, the outcome could be different by now. So you guys could turn Ollie Watkins' head. Chelsea could, barring top players at, maybe Man City, Liverpool, United, and like Saka at Arsenal right now, there's very few players in the world who Chelsea couldn't turn the head of. So as much as it's difficult, unless there's stories that you tried and it was just impossible, you're Chelsea Football Club. And I'm not trying to condescend here or you've got serious pull. I think Chelsea should have done much more this January and could have done it in my personal
100%.
view.
That's why I'm waiting to see by Monday who we've actually gone in for. Because like I said, Neto, no one expected it. All of a sudden we get that, here we go. So I'm going to wait till then. And then I'll say, do you know what? we fucked about. Because I don't know what these lot are doing in the background, bro.
No, I hear that. Leighton here said, here's an idea. Coach the players already at the club.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's got a point. He's got a good point there. Because, Mark Gill should be playing more. You know what I'm saying? You can't be seeing Jackson missing all these chances and he's not being punished. It's like, you just go again. You just play again. You just play again. Come on now. It's not serious.
Ronan here said, it's not worth bringing anyone in. Just stick to the plan.
Nah, man. We need players, bro. We need a striker. We need someone different that's a similar profile to Mudryk, because right now we're missing that profile on the team on the left. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to bring in a defender right now because Chalobah came back. Sanchez will most likely get dropped as well. I don't know if you lot have seen what Maresca said today. He basically said he hasn't decided who, but from what he's kind of saying, it sounds like he's going to drop Sanchez. So let's see what Jorgensen can do, man. Because for me, he's the better keeper.
I think you want to make sure that you get top four, and that is the thing. That's why you need to strengthen, because top four is looking very competitive at the moment. Do you know what I mean? So I think you really want to be getting Champions League next season. I know it's fifth as well, but even then, is it fifth is going to get Champions League, isn't it, this year?
It looks like it. It looks like it because we've got such great coefficient points compared to other nations. Unless all the English teams flop in the first knockout round and all go out, it looks almost guaranteed from this point. The top five gets it. And listen, there's a chance that an English team wins a Champions League or Europa League as well. Which, if Man United win the Europa League, then there'll be 6 teams in it next year, I think.
What? So sixth place will get. No.
Maybe if Man United win it, it will only be the top 4. Then maybe the team in 5th. That will be actually a brilliant one. Can you imagine if Man United or Spurs win the Europa League and the team that comes 5th? Then that's why you've got a guaranteed top 4. Why? What I suppose that's actually right. Yeah, I was wrong.
And Chelsea is 6th at the moment, equal points with 7th place.
Very true. Brilliant. So until Man United and Spurs are out of that Europa League, you need to be aiming for top 4. You can't rely on that 5th place, because how gutting would that be to get 5th and then one of those 2 teams goes and wins, not just knocks you out the Champions League, but goes. And look, it happened last year. Chelsea fans thought that we've got Europa, and then no one thought United were winning that Champions League, that FA Cup final, and bang, it changed it. So yeah, top 4 is what people.
If that happened again, if they got top 4, if they got a 5th, sorry, it's like we're in Champions League and then Man United won the Europa League and put them out into, that'd be funny.
Oh, mate.
Boy.
What about this year? This is Tottenham are insisting on loaning Tomori and have overtaken Aston Villa in the race to get him. Now they need backup at the back. It looks like Dragusin's out as well. I mean, is this not someone that Chelsea should be looking at? Like, I know he's another player you got rid of, but he is much better than all your other centre backs.
Nah, I wouldn't say much better, man. Tomori is always a moment away from having a Bozo moment as well. And I'm not gonna act like I watch Milan week in, week out, but he's been like that from the academy days as well, bro. He was a little bit suspect. So if he goes Tottenham, so be it. But Terry, don't be surprised if you're seeing this guy having some crazy moments at the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, this here says, big up, guys. Anyone else miss the one chip challenge? Yeah, we've got something new coming very, very soon. Just watch this space on that one. We had to hold back on a few things recently, and all that's going to be announced in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, more of that to come soon.
We need to put the clip of Don up on socials. Like, I need to see that again.
Yeah.
Where's the clip of you? Where's the clip of you?
We should get that
done.
Yeah. Lawless, good to see you. Looking extra sharp, but as good looking as you are today, Chelsea will come to pop Potter, blowing bubbles. Oh, is it you two playing each other this weekend?
Yes,
yeah, we are.
Monday night.
Yeah.
Are you confident in that, Lawless? You confident in beating Chelsea this weekend?
It all depends on who's available, because Paqueta, Bowen, and Somerville are all 50-50 at this moment. Without them, I'm not confident. If we have them or two of those, I'm confident with the way Chelsea are at the moment and the way that we're looking. Do you know
what stadium is it at?
Stamford Bridge.
It's at the Bridge.
You're confident of going to Bridge and getting something?
Well, just with the way Chelsea are playing now, I think it's the best time to play.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
With the players we've got, I should be there as well in person. And last time I went to Stamford Bridge, we beat them with David Martin in goal after we got that clown Roberto out. So yeah, man, the stars are aligning. You know what I mean? I just need those players fit, because without them, mate, it's going to be long.
Yeah. Are you a little worried? Are you apprehensive about playing West Ham at home, Don?
I'm just not confident in the team right now, Terry, man, because the performances aren't terrible, because we're still creating good enough chances to be winning these games, but we're just not putting teams away. So we'll most likely score first against West Ham, and then we'll just keep missing, let them back into the game. Second half will come out as if we've been smoking at half time, and then before you know it, they'll just score from a set piece or something like that. They'll just score a scrappy goal. Someone will make a mistake at the back, and before you know it, Chelsea have dropped points again. It's literally been the same story the past 6-7 games, and I'm bored of it. I'm honestly bored of it, bro.
Yeah, I thought the Man City game still to this moment makes me so angry. I'm not, just because you went 1-0 up. In fairness, I've seen a lot of screenshots of Jackson getting blamed for not scoring that goal, but it was Palmer's overhit pass. You should have gone 2-0 up, but then you just sat back. There's no press. Every team that has pressed City has either beaten them, taken points off them, or been close to doing it. I couldn't believe Chelsea's approach was to sit back and be timid. I was watching it shouting, "What are you doing? They're there for the taking."
We literally sat back from the front and we had a high line. What sort of combinations that? Because all City were doing was watching our attack and that. Oh, you're not going to press us? All right, cool. Over the top to Haaland in all that space in the world against defenders who are average. Let's be real, defensively. Chalobah, when people were getting gassed about Chalobah, it was just a thing to do with Clearlake. Oh, yeah, he's got one over you. And I'm like, bro, we need better than this guy. I don't know why you're not getting happy that he's coming back. This guy should be at Palace and we get better. You know what I mean? Right? That was poor from Maresca. One of the worst tactical games I've seen from him this season. You know, and he needs to fix up because he's not performing right now as well.
I think it was the worst one done. Which reminds me, by the way, Lawless, how dare you? How dare you just message me that day? Like I'm the one who set up Chelsea, saying, "Oh, you predicted this, predicted that."
You did.
I
You
think
were hyping
everyone,
them, man.
Dallas, even City fans were shocked at the way Maresca was was coaching that game, because in the first 30 minutes it looked like Chelsea was going to win that game, and then they just stood off for the rest of the game. And it was a weird one where it's like their line was so high, yet I don't think there was any intensity in their press or any intention at all to win the ball in advanced areas. And as you said, Don, I mean, Pep played. He was a long ball merchant for the game, and he won.
Yeah.
And we never really say Pep plays like that. I mean, like, I'm saying that as a joke, obviously, call him a long ball merchant, because he doesn't really do that a lot. but he did
All
that
their
against
goals
you
came
guys.
from long balls.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, where's the adjustment here? Why are you gonna press or are you gonna drop that line a little bit? Because I saw nothing. You were just caught up in the middle, just doing absolutely nothing. And it was so weird because I'll tell you why. We watched that PSG game just 3-4 days before that when they put 4 past City. The blueprint was there. Like
Yeah.
it was one of the easiest games to approach because you have so many sample size of the City team losing recently. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, let me just copy one of these guys. There's so many of them, so many examples. It was much harder.
I
to
literally
go
went
to
through
work
with
game.
LB. I went through so many examples when we previewed the game on my channel with LB, going through multiple games, including the PSG one. Even West Ham cut them through the midfield. I know the
And
West
you
Ham
have
lost
the
4-1,
profiles
yeah,
to
but for
play
their
that way
goal,
as well.
yeah, for their goal, they came from the midfield. They whipped it in. They scored from across. But go on, carry on, bro.
No, I'm just saying, like, it was a shock to me. Obviously, it's a little bit of banter between us at the end in the group chat when Lawless say, "Oh, but you said this, but you said that." But no, seriously, what the way that game switched after it wasn't even 30 minutes; it was probably a little bit less than that. But the way the game switched after that, I was just shocked. And I'm happy you said that this is probably one of Maresca's worst games. Obviously, I don't watch Chelsea as much as you do. And I said, "Yo, I actually think this is Maresca's worst game." From what I've seen, I don't think I've seen him coach a bad game like this.
It was
And
so bad.
it took
Honestly.
away the whole thing in the beginning of the season. Remember when they beat you when you guys were like completely not ready yet to play under Maresca, and then eventually found form. I thought that was your get back moment because you
Exactly,
guys were
bro.
poor
That's
against them
what
in
I'm
the first
saying.
game.
That's what I'm saying. Like the first game when we played them, he gave City way too much respect. Like it's like he's still scared of Pep. Like the first game he played Palmer and Nkunku on the wings, Enzo on the 10. It didn't work because tactically the lineup wasn't good, right? The lineup for this game was actually good because before the game, I saw LB was like, yo, these lot, it looks like they've put out a strong lineup. We was all gassing in the group chats and whatnot. But then you go out there and you decide to give these lot all that respect again. You know, when Palmer got the opportunity to pass it to Jackson, it came from us pressing, right? The goal that we scored, it came from us pressing. All their goals came from them, from Chelsea sitting back. You know, they had the ball that went over the top to Cucurella. Madueke was just ball watching. You know what I'm saying? That was over the top. The second goal, again, it went to Haaland. I don't know what the fuck Sanchez is doing. That was another long ball, right? The third goal they scored, another long ball across to Haaland. He pins it down. He plays it to Foden. You know what I'm saying? So it was so naive from Maresca, and I honestly don't know, like what you're saying, Staffy, why he didn't adjust mid-game. You know what I mean? He gave Pep way too much respect. Way too much respect because they don't deserve it right now. Let's be real. They don't deserve it.
I don't know if it's respect or just inexperience. I'll be honest, bro. He just looked. He looked like a rookie.
I've seen this guy. I've seen this guy manage games a lot better, bro. Because start of the season, I was telling you how proactive he's been in terms of his subs, the little tweaks I'm seeing mid-game. Because I was even saying to you that he's quite similar to Slot in a way. Because Slot mid-game, you see him tweak things, right? But the problem that I've been seeing ever since Fofana and Lavia haven't been in the team, it's like he overthinks too much, and he's a little bit scared to trust those guys to do what he needs them to do. Because if we started Fofana and Lavia in the game, I reckon we'd be pushing a lot from the front. You know what I mean? Because Fofana, he allows us to play that high line, right? Lavia, he allows us to play that high line because when you lose the ball, he's going to just break up play and help Caicedo. But when you haven't really got those profiles there, you can't play to the best of what you want to do, if that makes sense. But still, with what we had, it was still enough to be a little bit braver. And we weren't brave enough. We weren't brave enough, bro.
I hear you.
No, I agree. 100%. You weren't brave enough. And look, City, even the other night when they played Club Brugge, and I think Chelsea are a better team than Club Brugge. You know, the second half,
Brugge gave them a game.
that they did, and City are still a good team. That they're in around the top 4. They're in the knockout stage of the Champions League. They're a good team still, even though they're nowhere near their old level. But their games are actually amazing to watch now because for the first time, really, in the last decade, their games, every single one of their games, barring Ipswich recently, are competitive. And I just felt that Chelsea, as they were far too timid, as you say.
Yeah.
This is Nick Hunter, who's a Chelsea fan. He says, our next 5 games will make or break our season. Do you agree with that, Don?
Oh, yeah, 100%, man. If you look at who we've got in our next 5 games in comparison to Forest, Newcastle, and City, we've got the easier fixtures, man. You know, so I'm looking at the fixtures that we've got, Terry. I'm expecting 4 out of 5 wins because we've got to make up these points that we've dropped. 5 out of 21 points is fucking abysmal.
Who are you facing?
Bro, we've got let me read some of the fixtures right now that we've got, Staffy. So they're easier than everyone else around us, yeah? So we have West Ham next at home. Then we've got Brighton away. Then we've got Aston Villa away. Then we've got Southampton at home, and then we've got Leicester at home. Right? Forest, Newcastle, Liverpool. They're all playing each other. So they're going to take points from each other, and they're playing Arsenal. Some of these teams as well. So if we do our job against these teams that we should be beating, we should start creating a gap again.
How have you done in the last month against teams you should be beating, though, Don? That's the problem.
No, I agree. I agree with you, Lawless. I'm just saying that the facts are, on paper right now, I'd rather have these games than the teams that Newcastle are not about to face, because they've got some tough fixtures coming up, bro. All them teams there, they've got some tough games, man.
Joshua Jack here says, Don, do you believe Rory Jennings' theory about Palmer?
What's his theory? I don't listen to that guy.
You should. I think you should. I think he's very good. But he said that he believes if Chelsea miss out on the Champions League football next season, he believes Cole Palmer will be playing Champions League football. So he believes that Clear Lake will cash in and make profit on him and sell him in the summer.
I mean, if you've got a team that's got 150 million, they want to slap down, come. You know what I'm saying? Come.
150, yeah.
Bro, listen, it's locked in till the 2030s, right? How much do you think they're going to be asking for Cole Palmer right now? Are you crazy?
Yeah. And no one's paying that.
Of course, no one's paying that. But I'm saying it's going to be a king's ransom if you want to take this guy out of Chelsea right now, because he's locked in for a long time.
Yeah.
I hear that.
I think that's Rory being dramatic.
Of course.
Hey, listen, we'll win the Europa League. Maybe
Palmer's
we'll have a
got
conversation
guys
with him.
I will say the thing with Rory is there is definitely
we'll win the Europa League first.
Yeah, there's certainly an element of there is a little bit dramatic. I agree, but Rory, the consistency I'd say with Rory is that he doesn't trust your ownership in any way, shape, or form. So from his point of view, he thinks they're there purely to make money, and if it goes into a fourth season of no Champions League football, he believes that the right offer comes in. And the thing is, you and him are not even too far apart. You think, well, yeah, 150, get it done. His theory is if somebody offers 90 or 100 million, they might say yes. So and you don't believe they would go as low as that, but Rory just thinks they'll look at it as, well, that's doubling our money, and that's what we're here to do, is make profits and make money.
At the same time, do you know how much money Palmer's bringing into the club right now commercially, bro? Right, this guy is basically
how much?
I don't know how much, but he's bringing a lot of money for the club commercially right now. This guy's on everything, right? Even the Premier League, they post this guy all the time. He's arguably right now the face of the Prem. I see Palmer on everything, bro. All these adverts and that, all of that. It helps the club.
Bigger than Salah? Do you think like bigger than Salah, like the face of the Prem, that level? Like bigger than Saka?
Bro, listen. I'm seeing
commercially. I'm saying commercially.
I don't know the figures, so I'm not gonna just make things up. But I know right now commercially, Palmer's definitely bringing in a lot of money for the club, innit? You know, and like I said, listen, everyone that's skeptical about Clear Lake, bro, I'm not gonna fight for these guys, because at the end of the day, they've given them a reason to be skeptical. Because even me, like I've said, Terry, the main thing for me is that they're early into their ownership, so I understand the mistakes, but now it's on them to rectify it. That doesn't mean I want to fight tooth and nail for these guys, because they ain't want me shit. You know what I mean?
You can't trust American owners, Don. You just can't trust them. Like, a lot of them seem to be about making money. They don't seem to have that connection with the sport like a lot of other owners from various countries around the world. And I'm seeing it, you know, with all different, obviously, Terry and Staffy will tell you about the Glazers, FSG, you know, Villa's old owners that got them relegated. Like, so many of these American owners have a bad track record. So, yeah, I wouldn't trust you a lot. But if they sold Palmer for 90, 100 million, his contract runs out in the 2030s, boy, they'll
be right. They'll be right. And I'll be at the front of the right as well, blood. You know what I'm saying?
That's a terrible
line, bro. I'll be front line. So, at the end of the day, like I said, it's up to them to start to prove these people wrong and start to change people's mind, because they've done a lot of things wrong, Terry. And right now, like you're saying, we're not in a perfect position, you know, in terms of the squad. So they've got to fix up and change these things, and then people like Rory slowly might start to be won over, you know. So
no, I agree. And I don't agree with everything that Rory says. I think it's important to listen to. I think in all walks of life, whether you're talking about your football club, sport in general, politics, I think one of the most important things you can do is listen carefully and thoroughly to people that you oppose, to really understand where they're coming from. Because I didn't agree with a lot of what Rory said at the start of the season about Clear Lake. But then you see this January where you're in a title race and you think, okay, well, let's go and get that goalie or let's go and get that striker. And it appears they've done very little to get that done. It suddenly starts to back the theory that people, look, I'm not saying it means you change your mind, but it backs some of the theory that they're okay to buy youngsters because they can sell them for profit. What they don't want to do is buy a 26, 27-year-old for 80, 90 million pound because at the end of his time at the club, they can't sell him and make any money. And I think that the best thing Clear Lake could do to debunk all of those theories is go out and spend that 80 million pound on a top level striker that might be 25, 26, putting them on 200 grand a week. And then I think it would put a lot of Chelsea fans' minds at ease, because I do think a lot of Chelsea fans sit there and go, is this wage cap thing like real? Are they really going to eventually go above 150 grand a week?
Well, we pay Neto 160k a week. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So he's on a big boy contract, and what's he really done for Wolves?
Okay. So I understand. Well, that wasn't what was said when you guys were buying him. Everyone in the Premier League.
That's my point. That's my point, Terry. I'm saying
that's 160. Look at the highest paid players at all the top clubs across Europe, and you're one of those giant clubs. You're talking 200, 250, 300, 350. So a lot of Chelsea fans, if you want to go out and buy a striker who is going to get you 30 goals in all comps minimum per year, you've got to pay him £250,000 a week. That's a minimum.
And that's what I said earlier. I said for someone like a Gokaris, someone like a Isak, when we're talking about the wages, I'm not even saying, yo, don't pay him that. I'm saying, yo, pay him whatever he wants. With Osimhen, that's when I was a little bit more reserved to say, yo, this guy he'll be better than Jackson up top, but over 300k a week for Osimhen? No thanks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but he'd have scored those goals recently that would have kept you in the title race.
17 big chances missed in the Europa.
Yeah, are you telling me he's missing those sitters that Jackson's missed in the last 7 games?
He's this season at Galatasaray, you know.
I'm asking you a direct question. Do you think his performances would have been the same for you as Jackson's?
Bro, I don't know. In front of goal, I don't know, because he's not that clinical, Terry, bro. He's missed some chances where you're like, yo, how the fuck have you missed that? And it happens to every striker, but I've seen it frequently this season, especially, bro.
So you think Jackson? So you think him and Jackson? You don't think he's a big upgrade on Jackson? You don't think he's a big upgrade on Jackson?
In terms of playing up top, of course he is. Of course he is. But like I've said, that doesn't mean that I now think he's a clinical striker. I want someone like a Isak. I want someone like a Gokaris. I want someone that's clean up top, because I've got PTSD. Put it that way. I've got PTSD because I haven't seen a gunman striker at this club since Costa, and Costa left nearly a decade ago, bro.
I hear that. What do you guys think of that? Do you not? Do you think he's right? Actually, that's 250 grand a week is too much for a player like Victor Osimhen.
Yeah, I don't think he's a 250 grand a week player. I think that's a lot of money.
He wanted over 300, Lawless. He wanted over 300, bro.
Over 300. That's what I mean. A mil, over $1 million a month. Like with PSR and FFP, that's a big ask. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're getting into the territory. What, like Salah? What's Salah on? Like 250, 300?
He's on 400 now, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gone up. Money's gone up.
World class. We're talking like world class player levels. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's a bit. I don't know about you, Staffy, but I think that's a little bit overkill for Osimhen.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Staffy.
Oh, my bad. We're doing a quick research here. I'm trying to see his conversion rate this season, because I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I'm watching
same
the Turkish league. But
I look at it this way, right? With Nico Jackson, he's got 47 goals in his career compared to 131. You know, this season, 17 goals in 21 games for Galatasaray. You know, this man scored 17 goals last season for Napoli when they were really struggling. 31 the season before that, 18 the season before that. You know, that's when he was really young. I just think he's, again, all players. Haaland, look how good he is. And he has the most big chances missed over the last 2 seasons in the Premier League. People miss big chances, but Jackson hasn't just missed big chances. He has missed goals consistently where, as a rival, you almost stop watching for a second because you expect it to go in. You go, fucking, he missed again. He missed. So I think he's better personally.
Why is he?
He's a better striker. That's not a debate, Terry. He's a better striker than Jackson. That's not even a debate for me. The debate here is he worth over 300k a week?
Yeah.
He wanted 250 at your club, not over 300k.
I'm not gonna lie, his numbers are not looking that good this season.
Yeah. We've been talking about him on this show since he was in Italy, right? Since before he went to Turkey.
Since he was in
Napoli.
Napoli.
And he was linked with Arsenal and all these clubs. And there must be a reason why these clubs haven't gone to him, haven't given him that money, and he's playing in Turkey. You know?
He's averaging, to put this into context, he's averaging less goals per game than Yusuf in Nesiri. You remember Nesiri, right, from Sevilla? He plays for Fenerbahce.
Yeah.
He's averaging less goals per 90 than him. And then Nesiri has the same amount of goals as him, taking 5 less penalties. Actually, he took 0 penalties. Osimhen took 5.
You see?
So he's actually killing them.
And when you say we see, we're not going to start discounting penalties, though, because that means we've got to take away a lot of goals.
No. I'm not discounting them.
That's not
I'm
the point.
just saying.
Make the point, Staffy. Make the point.
You guys they're tied on goals, but one guy took 0 penalties versus one guy took 5. So I'm just saying, imagine if in the city was taking penalties. You know what I'm saying? So
again, to my question, do you think
he's still a better finisher than Jackson? Yes.
If he was there, would he have scored those goals that Jackson missed, and would Chelsea still be in the title race? Is the question.
I can't confidently say yes because, like I said, he's not clinical. Okay. Whereas if you ask me, do you think Isak's scoring? I'll say yes, comfortably. That's the point that I'm making here. I would rather someone else a little bit more clinical up there. I would have taken Osimhen, just not for the money that he was asking for. And the thing about him as well, he fucked up because he was expecting for us to like give him the money that he was gonna get because Saudi were offering him a big contract. Saudi ended up getting Tony, and then he was left in limbo, said no to us. Tony went Saudi, so he ended up going Turkey, bro. If Saudi didn't come in for him, I guarantee this guy would have come Chelsea, bro, on a cut wage. I reckon he would have come.
Would you take him at Man United on 250, 300 a week, Terry?
I really rate him. I think there's a real player in there. I think that's someone that can score you. Yes, there'll be some penalties in there, but you know that's penalties are goals. You know, you got to look at this season. I think he's only scored 2 less goals than Isak. Now, Isak's done it in a harder league, absolutely, but he still scored 17 goals. And I think if you put him into a team where lots of chances are being created, now we don't do that a lot at United, so that would still be my concern. We ain't got the creativity, but Chelsea have created an abundance of opportunities, and a lot of them have been quite simplistic finishes for a striker. And I just think he would have scored more goals. I think he would have scored the goals this season to keep Chelsea in and around that title race. Do I think he's the best striker in the world? No. But is he worth 200, 250 a week? Probably. Do you know why? Because the guys that you would put above him, they're not going to ask for £250,000 a week. If you want to go and sign Isak, you're paying him 350, 400. You want to go and sign Haaland, he's now on 800 grand a week. So this is the thing. The money you've got to look at what Salah that you mentioned. Yes, he's more clinical. He's on 400k a week. So you're asking someone to talk about a striker that's earning half the amount that the guys above him are. And again, he's a £60 million player on £250,000 a week. He keeps you in this title race. I agree he's not as good as Isak, but Isak is a £150 million signing that you're probably going to have to pay 350, 400k a week to. So yes, I would
he's on 120k a week at the moment. So
yeah, and look, and if somebody goes and gets Isak now, Isak is going to demand, if you're prepared to pay 100+ million for him, he is then going to demand a salary that reflects a player who costs that amount of money as a striker. So he's going to ask 350, 400 minimum, because the guy that he's being told, and this is what his agent will do, a lot of fans of football are saying best striker in the Prem. So if Haaland's on 800 grand a week, what do you think the best striker in the Prem moving to a super rich club is going to start asking for? 350, 400 base minimum. He's going to be asking.
I've got no problem paying him that. I've got no problem paying
him. But you know
that.
what the difference is? You were talking about Evan Ferguson. I believe Isak has actually missed more games than Ferguson through injury.
That's crazy.
So that's something to think about. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about, it's a risk.
Crazy one.
Imagine the risk on Isak.
That's
true.
That's
maybe
crazy.
Because Isak's been fit like more recently, innit? He's managed to actually stay fit.
Yeah, it's more recent, so it does look better. But it's just one of them things. I think the thing is with his wages, Isak, I think it depends on how many teams are competing with him. Because if you've got 3-4 teams, then they're going to have to outdo each other in terms of their offer, in terms of wages, right? But if there's say a Liverpool or a Man United, Man City, one of them teams is going to be competing for a league, and they say, right, Isak, we're going to give you 200, 250 a week. That's going to be hard to turn down because of the stature of the law of the club. Like, is he going to be, no, I'm happy to stay at Newcastle unless you give me these wages? If he knows them teams are prepared to walk away, or is he going to go, this is a great opportunity to play for a world-class elite club and challenge for major honours. So I'll take the 200, 250 or whatever, rather than hold out for 400.
Listen, it's certainly an interesting debate. From my point of view, I think that what you would get from Osimhen would be value for money in this day and age. Of course, there are strikers that are better, but they also cost you much more money to buy. And you know, you're looking at a 5-year deal. I mean, I actually look at someone like Osimhen, and you look at what City have just gone and done, and what they've paid for Mamouche, and how much they're paying him per week. That's similar to what I think most of the top Premier League teams need. I think and they don't all need to be number 9s, but I think you need at least a player of like a Haaland, maybe not conversion rate level because they're so rare, they're hard to find. But I think you need a couple of people in your attack that are high levels of output. One's probably going to be better than the other, so we might be on 400, 500k a week. The other one, I think, has to be an Osimhen level minimum. You don't want it dropping off. I don't think Chelsea in an ideal world want to have Isak up front, and then if Isak's out, you don't want to be dropping to Nico Jackson. Imagine you're dropping down to an Osimhen level. You're more relaxed about an injury, and you think about Chelsea had that for many years.
That dynamic would not work, bro.
Why?
Because, bro, you already seen it right now with Villa and Duran. You know what I'm saying? You saw it with Haaland and Alvarez.
Maybe.
You can't have Isak.
But like I said, I said it doesn't have to be 2 number 9s, but I'm talking about when it comes to investing in your squad, it could be someone that plays in a wide position or someone that plays more in a 10. Maybe you have that with Palmer. Maybe that's where it goes. But I think that I think squads need to have a backup player or a secondary source of goals that are still of a very high level. Because if your teams, even if you guys go and go Isak, great. If Isak suddenly gets injured, then what? And you've got to, squad building is about planning for injuries, because injuries are inevitable in sport. So you don't want to have that drop off. I think about Chelsea at their best when, Drogba might have been out, but you had Nicolas Anelka there as an example, and others. Man United at our pomp, Rooney, Tevez, Ronaldo, Berbatov. That was when we were playing with one lone. Like we made it work for a number of years. As an example, we had. I know we played with 2 strikers then, but we had Sheringham, Ollie, Cole, York. You've got to be aiming to have an attack that is stacked to that point. I don't think we can go and buy Yorkers. I rate him, but I still worry about the idea if he doesn't get any better. Who's your backup? Rasmus. That don't work, does it? Maybe that's why we're looking at Tell, because if Tell can develop and you're like, okay, well, you've got a really good, energetic player that isn't kind of scarred by the last 2 years at the club, and a top player. You know, Arsenal have gone in for Watkins that we'll talk about. I think if they say they got Watkins, say they get him, they should still go and try and get Šeško, because they should have 2 strikers at their club. If the worst striker you've got is Šeško, I think you're in a good position. And I think
it's hard to keep them happy though, because even Man City couldn't do it with Alvarez and Haaland. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is the thing.
You worry about that, but you'd rather have 2 or 3 years of those guys together, and then we've got to sell one, and then you bring another one in and do 2 or 3 years, then go, well, we're just not going to have a good backup. I'd rather have the problem than not.
Terry, I think to be fair, I think Jackson is a good backup. Like, the thing about Jackson, you can't depend on him for the whole season to be starting, because he's clearly a squad player, but he's an important squad player, because he will score you goals, but he will just miss you a lot of chances as well, because he's not a natural striker, right? But at certain games where you might not even start an Isak, you might want to start a Jackson because he's got a little bit more space to work with, and then you bring an Isak off the bench if this guy's not cutting it in front of goal, right? But Jackson,
if we're talking a lot about like Isak Chelsea, can you get him, Don? Do you think there's a chance of Chelsea getting Isak?
Isak?
Do you think
we inquired for him in the summer, and that got knocked back quickly.
You think you'll slap down like the 150 mil they're going to ask for?
Bro, listen, I don't think. Listen, 150 million. That might be a number they say, but it will probably be way less than that, innit? Do you know what I'm saying?
How much?
But,
what
do you think?
I don't know, man. You're probably looking at how long's on his contract now?
I think he signed a fairly new deal recently. I'm sure, because that's how he got to 120 grand a week. Didn't he?
He's on until 2028. Somewhere 2028.
So he's got 3 years left.
So
probably looking at
3.5
years. It's a lot of time.
Between 120. I'll probably say.
I think Don's right here. This is about if you can if you turn the player's head, clubs sell. It's as simple as that. And this is what I would say. It's whether Clearlake are willing to pay that amount of money for a player his age and pay him the 400 grand a week, 300 grand a week, 400 grand a week base salary. But I don't even mean it's rudely to Newcastle fans. Of course, Chelsea have got that pull. If Chelsea go on the charm,
they have to be in the Champions League, though, Terry. They have to.
No,
be.
Maybe. I still think Chelsea. I think Chelsea, Liverpool, City, United. Arsenal. I think these clubs are big enough to take players off Newcastle without Champions League football in the short term. Because again, I think you can sell it to Isak if you're Chelsea. If you're here, we make Champions League football. If Isak's at Chelsea this season, they're a Champions League team. So I think that they have.
What if Newcastle finish in the top 4, Terry? Because they could. They're a chance if they get if Newcastle got Champions League, it leaves Champions League for Chelsea in Europa League.
Listen, Newcastle. It's an attractive proposition. It's an attractive project. But listening to their own fans say that PSR is stopping them from being as ambitious financially as they want to be. I still don't think City are going to be ready to start winning Premier Leagues or Champions Leagues until Isak's getting towards the end of his career. If you look at the financial trajectory, it's taken them so long to get to a point where they can compete. So I think that Isak has to look at that and be honest, because what I would hate to see Isak do, and this is not a dig at Newcastle, but it's the rules that everybody's governed by, is for him to stay at Newcastle till he's 30, 31, 32, score loads of goals, but win no trophies. You know, I don't want him going Chelsea or to a rival. You know, Newcastle compete with Man United. They're better than Man United right now. And I'm not trying to take anything away from them. I'm just looking at him as an individual. And he's a player that's turned out to be a lot better than I initially thought he would be. You know, when I looked at him after he left Dortmund, I was like, good player, but I didn't see, I didn't see talent. I didn't know if he could cut it and be this clinical top striker. And he's been brilliant. You know, as a player, I was wrong about. As much as you're right about some, you're wrong about others. That's the nature of being a football fan. I'd like to see someone with his talent win trophies. And I know Chelsea haven't won some for a few years, but there's no guarantees he's going to win Premier Leagues at Newcastle either. And I think that if the right product is sold to him by a Chelsea, by a Liverpool, by an Arsenal, I do think his head could be turned.
We slapped down 115 million for Caicedo, bro. Like if we want to slap down over 100 for Isak, if we really want him,
how much do you think he's worth, then?
I'll probably say about 100. I'll probably say 120, bro. About 120, I'd say. 100 million, I think, is a little bit in this day and age right now, especially with the market up there. It's quite limited, isn't it? I'll probably say about 120, especially because it's a Premier League as well, Premier League rival. So, how much do you think?
I just wanted to know because a lot of people forget that Newcastle paid 70 for him, so he wasn't cheap. They paid a lot for him to flip him. You know.
Oh yeah, bro, and then to replace him as well. That's their best player. So
exactly, and he's the second best striker in the league right now. So
yeah,
when you talk about him, you need to understand he's very, very expensive. So I'm okay with you saying 120 because there's a lot of people that say stupid stuff. Like Arsenal fans were saying we could get him for 80, 90 million. I'm like,
that's crazy talk, man. You ain't
they're not adding 20 million on his evaluation after 2 years of bagging in the league. That's not how it works. They'll at least look for like 120, as you said. So I'm okay with that evaluation.
Mama Flossie is a Newcastle fan, which says that we are a small club that don't matter. Do you know what? It's not about being a small club. What you're being hindered by is you haven't had the advantage that Chelsea got with Roman or City got with the Sheikh, where you could, Roman got nearly a decade of doing this. Sheikh Mansour got about 3 or 4 years where you can spend unlimited amounts of money bringing in players. Because if that was the case now, no one would be taking Isak away from Newcastle because he'd be put on wages that most couldn't compete with. And you'd be able to keep buying quality. And you would be able to expedite very quickly and streamline being from where you were in relegation battles to being in title races. The problem is it's so hard to speed that process up now. You know, United are getting a lot of stick for the cuts we're doing. Ticket prices going up. People think it's as easy as our owners paying off the debt. It's not. It's all been revealed, but the media. It's why the BBC didn't have me on the other day because I wanted to talk about it and bring them the facts. And they were like, "Well, that's not what we were here to talk about." So no, you're here to slag off the ownership. I'm criticizing 2 or 3 parts of what they're doing. But I think it's important we present the facts to the listeners of the BBC that the ownership can't pay the debt down for 2 reasons. One, if Ineos pay the debt down, the Glazers would have to sacrifice larger percentages of the club ownership, which they don't want to do at the moment because they want the value of the club to go up before they sell more, as an example. Secondly, if we pay it all off, great. You can't then use that extra money generated to buy players because it breaks PSR rules. So the only way you can reduce that debt to create more income or save more income to spend is for it to be paid down organically, which is why the cuts are there. And the fact that this hasn't been discussed by any experts, by and large, in the mainstream media is frustrating. And this is the same thing for Newcastle. Their owners can't just pump money in to expedite being a team in relegation battles to a team challenging for the Premier League. So my point isn't, Mama Flossie, that you're a small club and players don't want to stay. But you're going to be a Newcastle fan in 50 years. All the players that are currently playing are going to be retired. in 10 years' time, a lot of these players will be well past their best, and they have to think about what's best for my career. Do they want to win trophies? You might find Isak, though, and this could be possible, that he goes, you know what? I am just going to stay here, because if I can win a trophy or two at Newcastle and break this 50, 60 plus year period with no trophies, that's legendary beyond belief. So there are reasons that you could sell to him to stay, but I do think it's very plausible that if a Liverpool came in and said, Mohamed Salah's leaving, we want to make you the star, he could have his head turned. I think if Chelsea went in, offered him the right money, we want to make you the star, you're the person that's going to take us from being a top 4 contender to a title contender to winning Champions Leagues again, I think his head could be turned. It's never about disrespecting the club that they're at. It's understanding. It's about looking at the different things that motivate people. If I'm being honest with you,
he'll be the first clean guy that we've got up top since Costa. Right? That's a selling point in itself.
Crazy.
You've got London as well. You know,
it's crazy.
All these things, man.
On strikers, Arsenal obviously we were told, first of all, it was I won't say we were told as football fans that it was a £60 million bid for Watkins. The same outlet that broke that, or the same individual, the secret scout that broke it, has said that personal terms have been agreed. Villa have obviously gone and sold Duran, and he's done his medical. He's off to Saudi. Unai Emery has come out today and has stated that the player wants to stay. The player isn't going to leave. This is in conjunction with stories that Arsenal may bid again. How do you guys view this situation? Some people think it's Arsenal PR. They knew they were never going to get him. They put the bid in to show fans they tried. There are some that think he does want to leave, but of course, publicly, he's going to say he wants to stay because he might have to. Could you see a scenario where a big bid comes in, say 70 million, 80 million, and they do let him leave, even though Duran's gone? How do you all see this circumstance panning out over the next 3 days?
He's staying at Villa. I think at this point, there's no way after getting all that money for Duran. They seem to be a club that I'd say have some ambition. I don't think they're going to sell for just the sake of, okay, this money's too good to turn down. Like, if they was to sell Duran and Watkins in the same window, it'd be disastrous. They could forget about Europe, especially this late in the window. They was already quite upset, apparently, with Arsenal for bidding for Watkins on the same day they had a big Champions League game. They was fuming, reportedly, which is interesting. I mean, it's the window. You know, you could, in Arsenal's defense, I mean, the window's open the whole month. So what, are they supposed to not put bids in just because you're playing? So, but yeah, I can't see it. I think Watkins, he's supposed to be an Arsenal fan. I'm sure he wouldn't mind going to Arsenal, but look, he seems to be enjoying his football. He seems to be happy at Villa. Like, I don't think that he's going to really, really push to go just because, I supported them as a kid. So I can't see any scenario where this deal happens. When Arsenal, finances seem to be sticky for them. And I don't know whether it's PSR or just the Cronkies don't want to spend like that right now. So I don't think they're going to drop anywhere near the sort of money that it would take to get Watkins out of Aston Villa. So I think at this point, it's over. They need to move on from that.
Bro, if they really wanted this guy, they would have bidded for him at the beginning. Let's be real. You know what I'm saying? This reminds me of how they tried to, go in for Caicedo at Brighton. They knew they were never going to get him for that price. They didn't really come back in again for him when they were asking for a bigger price, a bigger fee even. And then, with this Watkins thing with Duran going, listen, right now, Villa are going to extort the fuck out of them because whoever Villa goes to next are going to be asking for even more money because they'll see how desperate they are. They'll be looking at Villa and saying, yo, what? You sold Duran and now you sold Oli. Yeah. Whoever you're coming in for now, we're going to add extra 20 million because we can see how desperate you are. So they're not really gaining anything out of selling Watkins right now. And for him, he's built a bit of a relationship with the Villa fans, the club and that. He'll be leaving them in a serious problem right now, in a serious problem. So you have to think about that side of things as well. So I just don't see it right now, man. If we'll start at the window, potentially, but because there's so little time left, who can they get right now to replace Ollie Watkins?
Yeah, I mean, there is a report that's out that says there's an interesting one here that has stated that Barcelona have decided that the arrival of Rashford this transfer window is practically impossible. They are close to pulling out the race. Aston Villa are interested. So there are some reports that Villa are looking at different players, Felix, Marcus Rashford, etc. But I do agree with you from a Villa perspective. Let's just say they go and get João Felix from you and Rashford, and they allow Watkins and Duran to leave. I mean, the Villa fans are going to feel like they've been robbed. Even if those rumors are true, it doesn't make sense to me. One of the big things, Staffy, that Arsenal being accused of by a percentage of their own fans is that this was purely PR. They knew they had no chance of getting it done, even if they've agreed personal terms. Even if that part's true, they knew it was never going to happen, and they're doing it so they can say, we tried, but we just got told no. Do you see this as a PR stunt from Arsenal?
I mean, can you blame him from thinking that way? I can't. I'm actually annoyed, and I'm not an Arsenal fan, and I'm annoyed because we all know what the answer was. The answer was you needed a striker or an attacker in general. Okay, we've been saying that from day one. We've been saying that before the window opened. Okay, so whether you think it's PR or not, let's put that to the side right now. You doing this right now is like me trying to do my homework or submit an assignment at uni on the due date, and I'm upset that it wasn't the best work, or I didn't get the best grade, or I didn't get what I wanted because I dilly-dallied the whole time until the due date. I just decided to do it an hour before. And it's not like it's a small signing anyways. If you're going to go and try to get Oli Watkins, who's one of the, I would say he's like comfortably top 5 in the league right now, considering that there's not a lot of good strikers right now. If you're going to go and do that, get that deal done early. Get that bid submitted early, so when it gets rejected, and you go through, because that's fine. Every club rejects the first bid, but at least you give yourself some time to negotiate it. The fact that this was negotiated now and not before January even started it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing, and I'm seeing the most positive of Arsenal fans call that out. So it's not even the standards FC, as people like to say, or the people that just wanted to get clicks off negativity or whatever. It is actually embarrassing. I mean, like, what makes it even worse is that it got rejected, and then an hour later or so, Duran is going to Saudi Arabia, which makes now that deal even more impossible. So it's like, it's not only did you get rejected, the chat was saying this earlier, and I agree with them. They said it gives us Suarez 40 million pounds plus one vibes. I agree. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that. I was like, bro, this is Suarez all over again, because you know you're going to get rejected. And then a year later, he ended up going to Barca. Why are you doing the same thing? And now, as we said, Watkins now is the only striker. So it's not like they're going to sell him on a cheap now. What are you saying, Don? Sorry.
I said, do you think they're going to come in with a second bid? Because I don't really see it.
They could, bro. And I'll be honest, I don't think he's going to go now. I think this deal is much harder to do now. Like, if there was one club that you can try to persuade them to sell one of the strikers, it is Villa. Because I don't think anyone has depth in strikers this season like Villa. We've seen both of them bang. We've seen Duran and we've seen Watkins. You can try to get one or the other. The fact that now you're doing all this after Duran now went to Al Nassr, it just makes it more complicated. It's 10 times more complicated right now.
It's dubious.
Like, they're not going to do it.
They know what they're doing, but they know what they're fucking doing. I'm telling you.
But that's why people saying it's a PR thing to say, at least I tried. And that's not for me to judge. Arsenal fans, I'm going to leave it up to you guys, because that's your club to decide on. Well, I'm just saying, from an outside looking in, it is annoying. It is annoying to see that you know what work you needed to do and you still didn't do it. Everyone, every rival, and every Arsenal fan knew you needed an attacker. And look at the situation you're in again.
Yeah, I listen. I hear that. Some breaking news here from Laurie Whitwell that Aston Villa are considering a loan move for Marcus Rashford ahead of the transfer deadline. And again, that probably is as a short-term replacement for Duran. But I suppose, again, if people believe that Watkins to Arsenal is dead or was completely PR, then they're going to ignore this element of the story. So I'm intrigued to see whether or not it comes off. There is a question here about the PR, though, which I think is a good counter. It says, if it was simply PR, why would they choose to not sign Watkins over not signing Isak? I do agree. If you're going to put a bid in that you know is going to get rejected, you bid, because you ain't got to pay it. You know, you bid under £1 million for Isak, who everybody wants and universally agrees is the superstar. Maybe, again, if it is PR, they probably picked the wrong player to do it with, because there was still a good 40% of Arsenal fans that went, but he ain't good enough anyway. So if you're going to do it purely for PR and you know that you've got no chance of signing him, they were better off putting £110 million bid in for Isak, knowing it's going to be rejected at this stage of the season. I don't necessarily think it's PR. I agree with Staffy. I see why people see it that way. I think for me, it shows a bit of incompetence at sort of board director level that they allowed it to go on this late. Who is advising them? How did they not know that Duran was so close to leaving and going, as an example? That for me, it's the timing more than anything. I don't necessarily think this is. I get the PR argument; it holds water, and it could turn out it was PR. I feel it's a bit of incompetence. And again, like I said about Chelsea earlier, Chelsea fans I think should be angry they haven't done more this window. I think Arsenal fans, it doesn't matter whether you're Arteta in or Arteta out. It doesn't matter if you're a toxic positive or a toxic negative. And I'm just putting them into the groups that everybody speaks about. You should all be frustrated. You should all be frustrated because it's 3 days to go of the window. You're second in the league. At any point, Liverpool could have a slip up. Are you prepared to the best of your abilities to pounce on that? You're in the knockout stage of the Champions League. And actually, looking at the side of the draw they're on, fairly favourable, potentially until semi-finals. And who knows? But with a bagsman, the chances of winning it increase massively. And I do think whether it's PR or whether it's incompetence, I think it's very poor. I think the way that the Arsenal squad, the manager have been treated is wrong by the owners and the board. And I think the fans have been disrespected a lot with the way this has panned out. And look, if they end up getting it done, I think he's a good player, Watkins, by the way. If they end up getting it done, I don't know. And João Felix and Rashford join Villa. If it gets done, then fair enough, Arsenal. I'll pull that back and say you've pulled off a coup here. And if he delivers, it's amazing business. But I just feel like you could have put that bid in 3 weeks ago and got this player you wanted. It's crazy.
I still think it would have been difficult for them to do finance-wise. I don't know if they were going to get near because what they offered anyway was quite a bit under Villa's valuation.
What's the Rashford bomber? Sorry, we'll come back to that. What did you say?
Ornstein just confirmed it a minute ago. Aston Villa are considering a move for Rashford on loan.
Okay. So by the way,
you got to do the thing. You got to do the thing now. So you got to do the thing, Terry, man. You do it.
Yeah. Where's the thing?
What thing?
The breaking news flash.
Oh, do you know what it is? We don't have that thing on Straight Facts, right? I'd have to change it to. I didn't have it on this one. I'd have to go to like. I think I've got it on the top 6 show. So I'd have to change it to the top 6 show and then press it. And then go back to Straight Facts. Yeah, we don't have it on this one. So breaking news, Aston Villa considering a move to sign Marcus Rashford on loan from Man United. 27-year-old, preference is Barcelona or United stays. So would need convincing. But Aston Villa will try and get it done. I've got to read more of what's going to be interesting is if they see this as the Duran replacement. He's more of a wide player, Rashford, rather than a central player. And they've obviously got other players they've brought in that do that. So that'll be a real, again, maybe this gives Arsenal fans a bit of hope here that this is a signing to change it round. I'm quite happy with that, though. I'd like Rashford to stay.
Bring them to Birmingham, people. That's flipping.
Yeah, KJ's going to be sniffing around his bins. I tell you, I like this deal.
I don't think if they got Rashford on loan, that means they would sell Watkins. I don't think so.
No way.
I agree. If it's just Rashford, then no. I'm looking at the other players they're looking at, though. If they were to get a deal done, I don't rate him, but let's look at who they're looking at. If they went and got João Felix and Rashford, then then there's a possibility, depending on their plan, because it's 2 bodies for the attack, the 2 players that have left. Rashford alone, I don't see it helping the Watkins deal. But on Rashford individually, I quite like that. I think it's a good move for Man United as well. I really, really do, because obviously he won't play against us because of the way the deal works, but it keeps him in that shop window in a really tough league. And if he goes Villa and plays well and does good, United will probably get more than the £40 million we wanted this summer. Does have the opposite effect, as you said earlier, Lawless. If he does terribly, then it probably reduces how much money we can get. But that's a situation.
One thing we have to consider, Terry, is the wage.
Tell's coming in, baby. Right now, Spurs fans are shitting themselves. Spurs fans are going, oh no.
That's having an impact. But with Villa, for them to get him, they're very close to hitting the limit on what they're paying out in wages, because their wages, in terms of what they're bringing in, is very, very close. And it depends on what Man United are willing to sort of compromise on the wage package. How much to pay.
We did 80%. We're getting 80%. We're paying 20% of Anthony's as an example. I think we'll probably end up paying somewhere in the region of sort of 25 to 35% of this, because he's on quite high wages. Because we want to make it work. Because then Tell's going to come in on loan anyway. So you'll probably find if Tell comes in. Sorry, what are you saying?
No, just because Tell's gonna come in anyway.
No, but I'm saying if Tell come in, I'm very confident we can land Tell. I am, and if we bring Tell in, and Rashford goes out, even if we pay 25-35% of his wages, from a financial standpoint, we're probably still better off. We're probably still paying out less wages, which is important for us because we are in financial difficulties at this moment in time.
Yeah, you are in financial difficulties. Every time I see KJ in the group chat, man's got his fucking metal bowl, shaking it, trying to get people to put money in there, bro. Even you, Staffy, as well. Don't laugh. Yeah, I see you begging for the Garnacho move as well, bro.
End of the day, like we didn't all do what your club has admitted doing, where it broke the rules and was using offshore accounts to break rules and buy players they didn't have the money for years. Like, if we'd have done what Chelsea did and broke all the rules and then grassed ourselves up, maybe we'd be in a better situation. I can't help it that we've stuck to the rules. Sorry, mate, but we can't all cheat.
Yeah, I mean, we had to find a way of doing things. You know what I'm saying? Like hotel sales and all of these things. You know what I mean? So all the players that we've managed to move out, Terry, you know what I mean? We bring in money for a lot of our players from Cobham. Yeah, what's the most you brought in? Was it Willie? Willie the other month. You sold this guy for
good. Yeah, no, we know we've got to improve. We know we've had the worst owners in the league for 20 years, and we spoke about that absolutely. But at least we didn't cheat. Like that's cheating is the worst thing you can do in sport, isn't it?
Big up Roman for that, man. Big up Roman for that.
So you support cheating? You think cheating's good?
Of course I don't. Of course I don't.
There we go. Then there we go.
We paid the fee.
Thank you for just agreeing with me in a roundabout way, my friend. I appreciate it that you cheat. There's going to so many super chats here. This is from Patrick. Says, I think there is very few direct like-for-like comparisons between any player. It's always about assessing the attributes, what a team needs, and then seeing if those players fit those attributes. I agree, Patrick. I think it's a very, very good super chat, my friend. UEFA Champions League Man of the Match awards. 17-year-old Waneri 1. Best player in England, Cole Palmer 0. Also, Arteta should have his team motivated to smash City on Sunday, is what JB.
Well, this super chat is so shameless. He's never played in the. He hasn't played for Chelsea in the Champions League. How's he gonna win it when he hasn't played in it? This is so shameless.
He won it.
But didn't he play in it at that age when he was at City, though?
He did, and he scored.
When he played like 10 minutes a game, maybe. Come on.
He scored. I'm pretty sure he scored that when he was 17.
He scored in the Super Cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did in the Super Cup final. Well, it is only the final. It's only one game. Chelsea have a better squad than Arsenal, but we're second whilst using our squad all season, whilst Chelsea is 6th with theirs. Yeah, do you regret now saying that you had a better team and a better squad than Arsenal? Do you now look at that and go, yeah, that was an exaggeration?
No, I don't regret it because I'm not really seeing Maresca using the squad to the best ability that he can. I think Gil can do a better job than Nkuku up top. I think Felix should be getting way more minutes. I think Nkuku shouldn't be playing up top. All these little things that he should be doing on the squad, he's not doing, bro. So I don't rate their squad. Their squad shit.
He's doubled down. I love it. I love
how Don always does this, and when he says something about the squad and doesn't happen, he just throws the manager under the bus. He did the same thing with Poch. He's doing the same thing with Maresca.
I have to though. But listen, I'm consistent on stuff. I criticized Poch last season. I wanted him. I criticized Maresca numerous times this season. I wanted him as well.
So someone said, does that mean you've got a worse manager than Arsenal? Someone said that in the chat. You got the worst.
Of course, Arteta's better than Maresca. What are we doing here?
So can Don say that out loud for us, please?
Bro,
he won't say it. He's a rival, but I'll say it.
Arteta's done more in his career, yes, but Arteta's very pragmatic. Very pragmatic, right?
Shut
right
up.
Now, listen. I'm not going to say who's better.
He's a better manager than Maresca. What are we doing here?
I prefer our style of play to what I watch when I watch Arsenal, right? And a lot of Arsenal fans don't like their style of play with Arteta. They want someone more attacking. So
you prefer your manager, you've got a better squad, but you're 6th and they're 2nd. How's that happened?
Bro, they've got a better defense. That's why. They've got a better defense than us right now, you know? So even though they might not be clinical up top, at least they can see out these results, these tight results. With us, we need to outscore teams because our defense isn't that strong at the back.
There you go. Wow. We're speechless. Everyone's speechless.
It's just nothing more for me to add.
Sometimes silence is golden. It seems the Chelsea recruitment team know how to identify talent that they can increase their value, but they can't build a championship, like a title-winning team. They are running Chelsea like a glorified Brighton.
They make a lot of good data signings. Which is, to be fair, that is a good thing. Not a lot of people.
I don't mind them trying to bring players for profit and that. Yeah, like if you're gonna go flip them. But I've always said, if you still got to make sure that you're you're spending money on the first team if you're going to do that. You can't just be doing that and then just neglecting the first team. You've got to do both.
You know, I agree. You got to do both. You definitely got to do both. And they had an opportunity this January and they didn't do it. Rashford will be a real good option for Barca. Yamal, Rafinha would need some rest. And yeah, listen, that might then happen in the summer, but they've got financial problems for forever. They're literally up to their limit every time they sign a player. So I never saw that one happening. But I think Villa's a good move. They get a lot of room. Teams don't sit back. We said about Rashi at Barca, they play transition football a lot. Teams attack Villa, so there's a lot of room to run into. It could be tailor-made for Rashford to have a brilliant second half of the season, score loads of goals, and then fingers crossed, if he doesn't stay at United, which I don't think he will, bring us in 50, 60, 70 million because he proved that he's that good. That's what
I'm not biased, but I think West Ham's a better move. I think West Ham's a better move because I think Potter is a better man manager than Rashford. Rashford seems to be having some problems off the pitch, some problems up there, and I think the manager or the coach to get the best out of him and to put the arm around him is Graham Potter. Whereas Emery, I don't think he's that guy. Do you know what I mean? It could be new environment, like you said, in another team that maybe gets more space. Obviously, we get more space. I think West Ham would be a better move for him.
Hey, submit a bid. I hope West Ham heard that, bro.
Well, for Ferguson,
Been interested. We have
I put in a recommendation letter for you. Don't worry.
Wait, hold on. I missed that. Who have you submitted a bid for?
No, we haven't
he's
submitted
talking about
for
Rashford being a better fit for West Ham. I said, yeah, go ahead and submit a bid.
Bro.
Yeah, I'm saying I think Graham Potter's a better man manager than.
He's not a striker though, Lawless. He doesn't even like playing there himself, man.
Yeah, that front line.
Graham Potter, he wants attackers that know how to press from the front. Rashford, you'll make it look like he's pressing, but he's not. He can't play with his back to goal. On the left, you've got Somerville there already, right? That's probably where he will play. If you're
Somerville actually played on the right. Potter actually played him on the right in his first game, and he played really well there.
Are you playing two strikers now, Lawless?
No, we're playing Paqueta up top at the moment. That's how.
Bro, they're playing your formation stuff. They're playing three at the back.
Yeah, no, I know because Potter likes that. I just didn't know if they're playing two up top or not.
Yeah,
Potter likes it with the personnel he's got, bro. Potter, if he had the personnel he wants, he will play 4-2-3-1. That's what he will do. He'll play four at the back.
That's Moyes' formation, 4-2-3-1.
Interested. Ronin here says Nkunku didn't work out. Move him and use Guiu. Is that how you pronounce Guiu or Gui?
Yeah, Guiu.
Yeah, this here from Sagnik, who says, quick question off topic. Thoughts on City versus Real Madrid?
Go fast. Get ready for
not
that.
in good form.
Go fast. This is going to be an absolute go fest. You know that this fraud Hussam, you know what he said yesterday? And I need you to press him on this next time you see him today. He said he'd rather face obviously that was before the draw was made, or that he's just speaking a hypothetical. He'd rather face Man City right now in the Champions League. Sorry. He would rather face Arsenal in the Champions League right now than Man City. Basically, he's saying we could beat Arsenal as Liverpool, but he doesn't think they could beat City.
Yeah, that whole conversation he had it on the terrace on Wednesday night, and it was 1 minute it was sort of like heritage really counts and you can't write people off, and then the next minute he's writing another team off who've got great heritage in it as well, and talking about their current performances and how they're playing. And I think both play a part, absolutely. Like if Arsenal are playing Liverpool and it's a really close game, second leg, 1 goal in it, away at Anfield, I think the Anfield crowd that's used to those nights, those players, they can sway the difference. But I actually think if that playoff game was between Arsenal and City, over 2 legs right now, I would bet on Arsenal knocking out City, even though City have won the Champions League, because City's midfield just gets run through every single game. Like every single game.
They don't have a midfield and a back line.
Yeah, and it gets run through. And I think that you can't always, like Real Madrid is an interesting one because they have the power to knock, they've got the punch power to knock you out still. But again, you actually speak to most Real Madrid fans this season. I love bantering them. They're really not happy with how they're performing, even though they're top of the league and they're in the Champions League. So the heritage plays a part, but I don't think you can completely ignore. The funniest thing a Liverpool fan said, though, Mike said it on the show. He said, I don't believe in the concept of favourites in the Champions League. And we said, why? He went, well, because I've seen the favourites get knocked out before. It was one of the most oxymoronic things I've ever heard in my life. It was like, it was just strange. I loved it. I love Mike.
Arsenal's just not been a good tournament team though, where you look how they've done in the cups, and so I get where Hussam is coming from. Is if you're gonna bet against any team, you're not really going to bet against Pep, who, you know what I mean, all these credentials into.
But it's not even that, Lawless. Like, I'll just be very honest with you guys. Some people just refuse to use data. They think it's a shame to use data. Like, they shame people to use numbers. They're like, oh, stop looking at XG. It's not even that. Just use your eyes and look at the data. The data doesn't lie to you. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. There's a team. I'm looking at a team that conceded 3 goals in 8 games in the Champions League. Hard to break down. I watch them every week in the Premier League and the Champions League. Hard to break down. Even if they don't score a lot, they're just annoying to play against in Arsenal. And then you have a team like City this season that everyone and their mother is scoring goals against them. They're finding it easy to play against them. And it depends on the day if you're going to take your chances or not. It decides if you're going to win or not.
Yeah,
let's just be honest here.
And no one's having the same energy for Bayern Munich, who also have great heritage. Again, I've watched about 4 or 5 of their group.
Yeah, but they have that in an experienced coach. That's the issue. Vinny's a joke.
I do get that. I do, but what you also get is that people are happy to write them off, and they're right to, because again, they won the other night. They won 3-0, but the amount of times they got countered was ridiculous, and that's why I do feel like this tournament is really open. Liverpool, for me, when you look at the draw and who they may face into the semi-finals and finals, Liverpool are, for me, the favourites. Inter have got a great chance. I think this will be the year. The team that wins it this year is going to be a side that's hard to break down and beat.
Can you put a chart up? Have you got it?
I haven't got it. I can get it. I'll go get it now. It must be on Twitter somewhere, and I can make a graphic and put it up on the screen. I can do that.
They won't touch our record, but when we last won the Champions League, our defensive record was fucking top tier, bro. Top tier, man.
Yeah, but I think it's different records now. There's already been 2 extra games, and then so it's like, do you know what I'm saying? Group get stage.
There's an extra stage right now, the playoffs. So some teams will play more.
Yeah, so some teams you're probably gonna see goal scoring records get broke because there's 2 extra games plus 2 extra playoff games. So I do get your point though. That goal scoring record was crazy. Let me just try and find the.
Yeah, we only conceded 4 goals in 12 games.
Wow, that's mad.
To be fair, Inter only conceded 1, so they're doing well.
Yeah, Inter's defense has been crazy. Champions League draw.
Yeah, that defense was mad, man. Silva, Rudiger, nice.
Yeah, you played wasn't that the COVID year? You played with no fans, and I swear, was that the year that was the semi-final was only 1 leg?
Was that 1 leg? No,
that wasn't the year that they won it. That wasn't the year they won it. That was when I actually loved that summer where we finished the leagues after lockdown, and then all the teams flew to, I think it was Portugal, and just played all the European. It was like watching
they played in Portugal,
the World Cup, but with like club teams, and it was I actually really loved that. I actually like that as a concept in terms of maybe play no Champions League all year and do it at the end of the season. I actually quite liked the way that looks. Obviously, it wouldn't work with international tournaments. Here we go. So I've got it here. It's coming up on the screen now, gents. Yeah, so that's it there. So yeah, it's going to be. So Arsenal will play Juve, PSV, AC Milan or final. That's the 4 teams they could potentially get. They or Inter will get one of those 4 teams. City, if they beat, this is what's crazy. If City beat Real Madrid, their next game is Atletico Madrid or Bayer Leverkusen, as an example.
Don't sleep on Atleti this year.
No, don't. And even Bayer Leverkusen, like Bayer Leverkusen against City right now, they'd run through them. That absolutely, because that team has got so much speed and power in it. That Bayern will probably knock out Celtic. Could be Bayern. Bayern versus Leverkusen would be a brilliant round of 16 game. I'd love to watch that. But you look at Liverpool's, they're either going to get Benfica, Monaco, PSG, or Brest. So the hardest team they could potentially get is PSG, and I still think they're better than them. But yeah, it's quite an open one this year. That's quite a nice little bit there, though, as well. You can see like a Club Brugge or Atalanta will play Lille or Villa. Or the other side is Sporting or Dortmund versus Lille or Villa. And look, Villa could get a decent draw here. They could end up against Club Brugge in the round of 16, which is, they could find themselves in the quarterfinals. And
I mean, whoever's facing Atalanta is getting smacked.
That's true. The Club Brugge probably will knock out Club Brugge, to be fair. Atalanta look great at the moment. So yeah, I really like the draw. I love the seeding. I think it's great. I really do. Staffy should trademark the data quote.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't make it up. I've heard it before. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So
there we go. Boys, I want to thank you all for coming on. We're going to be live again, people, in just over an hour for the top 6 show. So make sure you're all back here with us for that at 6 p.m. We've got an excellent panel for you as we're previewing the weekend games in more detail, plus talking about the shameful FA and the PGMOL as well, and their latest attack on clubs and the truth. Until next time, gentlemen, thank you all very much for coming on. Always appreciate it and love talking football. To all of our viewers, all of our super chatters, thank each and every single one of you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.